welcome to the second episode of Clicks and Conversations. I'm Nicole and this is Christina Scanapiego. And today we're going to talk about brand and SEO. Are they friends? Are they enemies? Or are they frenemies? What do you think, Christina?
Yeah, well, I have a lot of thoughts. I remember coming to you to bounce a couple ideas off of you. A little while back, I was coming up with a plan for a branded go-to-market project. And I was trying to pick your brain or just sort of gut checking some of my ideas. And the first thing you did was you shared your screen with me, you cracked open SEMrush. And I had the reaction that I think a lot of, especially me as like a brand content editorial purist, I had the instant reaction that I think a lot of people like me would have, where I was just like almost cringe, but like, why are we looking at SEMrush? What do keywords have to do with this, really? This is a holistic, branded, go-to-market effort. And I think, as I thought about it longer, over the next couple of days, I really started to wrap my head around the philosophy that I thought you might have, been trying to steer me in the direction of, that we're human. If you are coming from a brand that offers a solution or a product, it is ultimately, if you're doing it right, something that customers need, want, desire, need, but don't know they need. And they're searching for some kind of solution or something that they want. And you have to be the answer to that. In the grand scheme of things. And I think brand and content people like me make the mistake of thinking the SEO is keywords, and SEO is fitting keywords onto a page, and we complain about it. And so I think, am I on the right track in terms of where you were leading me that day?
Yes, you are. It's definitely about like it. So for me, what I was doing was just a little market research. It's like, what are people searching for? Yeah. So I feel like doing that little research up front helps you position your brand, your product, your service offering in the market in a very strategic way, right? Like you want to be topically relevant for the search engines, yeah, but you also want to be, when you're found in the search engines by your prospective client or customer, you also want to be talking to them, right? And how do we talk to them? We research what they're asking for, so we can then answer their questions, right? So yes, you're definitely on the right track there. I was definitely trying to steer you in the way of like yeah, so it's kind of one of those things, is like, I'm giving you prompts, like I'm giving you words, and you don't necessarily have to. I feel like the old-fashioned SEO way of things is like, then we have to, insert this keyword exactly how it is so it will rank. That is maybe how it was in the past, but nowadays it's definitely more nuanced. It's like, this is just us writing more explicitly. We're speaking directly to the consumer, the client. We're not just throwing things at the wall and seeing if it sticks. And I think that's the old-fashioned way of marketing, right? In branding, is like, we're going to come up with something that's going to make people feel a certain way. Well, I get that. That's important too. But also, it's like, at the end of the day, I can feel really great after watching your commercial, but if I go buy a pair of shoes and they fall apart, who cares? You know what I mean? So,
well, I think that's manufacturing, but
yes. Yeah, that's a different beast. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, you want to align your quality of your service offering and your messaging, not just, making people feel a certain way, I guess you could say. or maybe it's taking your research and making people feel a certain way with the data that you're mining.
Yeah. And, I was even thinking about it in terms of, and I've come across this a lot. If you zoom out and you are thinking about SEO in a brand sense rather than just a page nitty gritty page sense, sometimes you can even be an alternative to solutions that your customers are looking for. Or sometimes your customers are looking for a solution and they don't quite know that your solution exists, but it's an alternative. Sometimes they can find what they don't know they're not looking for, if that makes sense, but what they need.
Right.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Jumping off of that, you're talking about how you make people feel, and really brand, at the end of the day is always, and I know it's evolving and every brand should evolve, but at the end of the day, it is a brand is your offering and your company's essence. And it's all of these different factors and elements that are working together to create a feeling, to emotionally connect in some way. So when you are looking at brand high level like that, how does something like SEO factor in if SEO isn't just about keywords on a page?
Yeah, I mean, my first train of thought when you're talking about that is how you can really leverage your brand name or your image to you can like really use that authority to expand your overall share of voice in organic search, right? So for example, we talked about using examples. We can use Nike as an example, huge brand, everybody knows Nike, right? But even Nike struggled, right? Coming up as a brand, found their way. Watch the documentary, it's really good. But now it's like, okay, so now they're a running company, and if you're another brand coming up trying to compete with Nike, if you're trying to get out there in the running world, and you've built a really great brand, like that's really important, and I understand that. But you can also like expand and do what Nike's not doing. Like maybe Nike's not, offering different types of information about the best running trails in each town, And if you're trying to get out there and you're a small brand and no one's ever heard of you, and there's a ton of content, top of the funnel informational content that you could take advantage of that no one else is doing, that could be a great way to introduce your brand to a new audience. The flip side is if Nike has this really killer brand and they're not doing this non-branded content, this top of the funnel content, they could own all of it probably. You know what I mean? It's just like money on the table is what I often say. Is like, why not? Don't not do it because it's not it's not like necessarily aligned with your brand. Make it align with your brand somehow. Make it your brand, right? Like brand everything, So
Yeah,
that's the way I look at it. I don't know.
And no, I think it makes a lot of sense, and I think the way that brand is evolving, I think again, I know I said this, I'm repeating myself from last episode, but authenticity is a huge buzzword right now, and I don't know if it's being used authentically all the time, but I think the way that brands are evolving are, you need to be a brand that people can actually trust and build a relationship with, and and feel that you're authentic and feel that connection is genuine. And I guess what you're talking about is really a good way to establish that. Are there other ways, or how do you think SEO can really help build that audience trust?
Yeah. I think it's just writing that top of the funnel content in line with the brand tone and voice, right? The look and feel. So it's not like SEO and content. It's like the blending of the two. I think that's where the magic really happens. I wrote down a note here that says SEO is what you say and branding is how you say it. I have a friend who writes music, she's worked in Hollywood. She's worked on sets and stuff. And she's also been in the recording studio a lot. And I've sat in there with her just hanging out. I'm a total like roadie, and
roadie.
Is it a roadie when they like go around and they carry your stuff?
Oh, you're roadie.
Yeah, I've helped carry, from venue to venue. I've also just been a groupie and like hung out in the studio, and she pointed something out. It's like, when you sing a song, it's not necessarily what you say, but how you say it. And I feel like it's kind of similar to like a brand and branding your content, right? Like she played this one song for me actually where this woman says the same line like 10 times, and she says it and she sings it differently like each time. Like one was like emotion, or she hits a note in a different area, and that just really stood out to me. Is like you can do that with marketing as well. Like you can say what everyone else is saying, but you say it differently, and you say it in your tone and your voice, and it strikes a chord differently.
That's a really good analogy. I forgot what song it was. I wish I could remember. I was listening to a song that I love, and you know how much of a music freak I am. But I remember I was saying to someone like, "Have you ever listened to the lyrics of this song? They're so stupid, but it's like the song just gets me in here." And what song is it by Death Cab for Cutie? And it's such a good song, and it's like it hits you. But I'm like, this song is about stalking someone. Anyway, great analogy. Speaking of music, the segue wasn't planned. Can you tell me about SEO as an omni-channel tool? Because I almost said tune. Because like we talked about this last time a little bit. SEO isn't Google. Google is still huge, like the biggest part of SEO maybe, but LinkedIn is search, YouTube is search, TikTok is search. Like every platform is search, and you can search for things in every format and medium where content exists. So can you tell me how you help brands tackle that? How you maybe help me tackle that?
Yeah, I think that, so it's kind of interesting. I worked at an agency that started off just doing SEO, right? And their agency grew into this like full service digital marketing agency because the need would come up. So it's like, we're doing SEO, we need content. So then like the content department was developed and it's like, okay, we're doing SEO, we need web dev. So then like the web development department was born. And then it's like, okay, we need to promote our content, and then so like paid or the social media department was born out of that. And then it just kind of grew from there. So, when I was at another agency that was more PR driven, more brand driven, more like brand activation driven, what I would try to get them to think about like SEO as is almost like a campaign. It's like a content marketing campaign. It's like, you want to have activations with your campaign, your SEO campaign, right? It's like, I'm gonna write this blog, and I'm gonna promote it across my various marketing channels. So, for example, like I'm blogging right now on my SEO blog, and then I create a video tutorial to go along with it, and now that's on YouTube, and it's embedded in my blog, and then I chop it up and I create an image carousel for Instagram, and then I chop it up and I create a carousel for LinkedIn. And so I'm promoting my content, and I can re-promote my content through email marketing. If I want to, I can even put some paid money behind it and promote that content. So that's kind of, you know, for me, it's like SEO starts with the building the funnel, building the, you know, the tripwire, or the, you know, the like the offer, you know, like follow us for some more tips or get this free template, or, you know, and then you remarket to them, right? So for me, when you say like omni-channel, that's kind of what I think about. Like you can start with SEO and then promote it through all these other channels to get out there, to be found, to be seen in a bunch of different ways, right? But there was one other thing I wanted to say, and now I forget it.
Well, yeah, and you know, I think you are. So you're talking about, and you know, this is, as a content person, this is sort of the age-old rule. Every piece of content could be 100 pieces of content in across a bunch of different formats.
Yeah.
I guess, you know, what I sometimes wonder is, how do you adjust or optimize for how different people are searching on the different platforms?
Yeah. That is kind of interesting. I mean, there are ways to like YouTube, for example, you can use the suggest, you know, just like you can use Google Suggest. So you can type in something and you can see like similar, you know, topics that have come up. There's keyword research tools out there for YouTube. I've also dropped YouTube into SEMrush to see what their organic rankings are, to see what videos they're ranking, and to see what kind of keywords they're ranking for. So you can reverse engineer it that way. Yeah. If you want, I've even dropped TikTok into SEMrush to see what TikTok videos are ranking for what keywords, you know, because you do rank videos, you rank TikTok videos, social media platforms do rank in Google. So, you know, not only are people finding things within YouTube, they're also finding YouTube videos in search. So it's you kind of definitely want to be everywhere all at once. Like, I love that movie title. Like, I was like, that's SEO. That's like what we're trying to do. We're trying to be everywhere all at once. Yeah. So there's a bunch of different ways to go about that. And then also, I mean, each platform has its own algorithm and its own kind of like set ways of making the content to get it to go farther. Like, I've been reading a lot about like Instagram and how that's changed, how the algorithm has changed. Like, it's more about, nowadays it's more about not so much about using like hashtags as it was back in the day. Now it's like if people are saving your content kind of thing. Yeah. And YouTube is all about like watch times, and then like, you know, you kind of want to create a series, you know, on YouTube where it's like, you know, here's how you launch an SEO campaign, step 1. And then you have step 2, you know, to keep watching, and that's gonna help you get more visibility. I do remember what I was my point back to the omni-channel stuff is that I've had some boomerang clients come back around recently, you know, and say, hey, we worked with you in the past. We currently aren't happy with, you know, SEO agency. You know, we loved working with you. And I'm like, all right, cool. Let me go see how their site is doing, you know, like a client that I worked on for like 4 years. And I haven't touched their site and haven't worked with them in probably around 2 years. But I plug in their content or their URL to SEMrush, and I see that the top performing content is stuff we produced, you know, 3 or 4 years ago, you know. So that's another upside of SEO as well, is like a lot of times you can reuse that content. It keeps producing traffic and visibility for you over time. So it can be worth the investment. And a lot of times it's hard to tie that value, you know, to clients for them to understand. And it's a long-term play, and it takes a long time, but
I know
it can be worth it, you know, if you really hit that, you know, that sweet spot where you're getting multiple pieces of content to rank for a long time. And then the ongoing SEO is making sure that that piece of content stays up to date and stays at the top, right? So
what do you think are some future topics that we'll cover? Some juicy ones. The marketing plan behind Lumen.
Oh man, I would love to see their brand standards, their brand guidelines. That would creep me out. That would creep me out. Yeah, I don't know. I think, we could go into probably specific channels a little bit more, like talking about what's going on. Like, I don't know, like algorithms changing on LinkedIn, things that used to work, that used to bring in a bunch of leads that aren't really working. We could talk about how the pandemic really kind of messed up in-person networking and how that's considered old school nowadays. Like, I just went to my first in-person networking event this week, and I had a great time. I was only there for like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, and I connected with somebody I met like over 15 years ago, who I met him in Orange County, like when I was like fresh out of college, and I didn't even know he lived in San Diego, and we like reconnected, and it was just so cool. Yeah, and then he's like sending me.
Yeah, and you should I think it would be a chance for you to give introverts like me tips, because the thought of, and I'm so personable.
You're not. I don't consider you an introvert.
Personable, but the thought of going, what? I'm an introvert. I don't understand what you don't understand about that. But the thought of going to a networking event by myself is like, I don't want to do anything less than that. It's the worst thing you could possibly suggest for me. But
yeah, I mean, there was a part of me when I was going to that where I was like, why am I going to this by myself? But I was just like, whatever, and it's a networking event, so everyone's gonna like talk to you, but I can tell who the introverts are that are like forcing themselves. They make eye contact with you, and then they like look away.
That's me. You don't have a problem just like, working a room of strangers.
I'm like one of those hybrid introvert extrovert. So the older I get, the more I'm realizing like when to like basically leave, because like I'm like, okay, I don't want to overexert my social battery,
I also want to talk about the customer journey at some point, and
yes, the customer journey, yes.
How and if SEO can play into the entire full funnel.
Yeah.
Journey, not just everyone thinks SEO top of funnel, but I'm trying to reimagine what that looks like, because I don't think that formula exists how we think it does.
Yeah, I think where SEO fits into that is conversion rate optimization.
Well, save it for our episode.
All right. Yeah, and maybe one more question would be from an SEOer asking a content brand strategist. That SEO is important to incorporate. How do you see it and being incorporated? What stage of like go to market, or at what stage of the brand development and product phase do you think SEO should be involved in? When and where? What's your take on that? I'm just kind of curious.
Well, I think I've been more traditional, like we talked about, where, I not so kind of old school that I'm doing the SEO work after everything's been published, after everything exists, and planting all the keywords and working them in. I'm a bit better at, I think traditionally I've sort of used SEO as part of the planning phases for things, but it's not just, I think, as you helped me realize when I was coming to you for advice or to pick your brain about a project. But, now I am going to be thinking more about it as, like you said, market research. I think, I can't say, I think I have kind of always done this, because I do like to see how queries and keywords are trending, and like what, certain things in the world could be affecting what people are searching for, how they're searching, sometimes as it relates to your business. So I think that now market research, but I think a level of SEO is appropriate for almost every part of the customer journey, especially before people are become your customers, not just top of funnel, but the whole journey. And then I think the biggest takeaway that I get from brand and SEO and thinking about them together is that you really need be who your potential customers are searching for, and be a better alternative to what they're searching for. And just meet them where their mindset is at.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like it's almost two-pronged approach. So it's like you're not only researching like your potential consumers and customers, you're also researching your competitors to like make sure that you're building some brand messaging that is speaking to your clients, your prospective clients and customers, but also differentiating yourself.
And when I say be a better alternative, there's the being a better alternative to the competitors, but also this is an example. Let's say you're a CRM. Let's say you have a lot of small businesses who don't know what a CRM is, or but that need a CRM, but they're, let's say, searching for spreadsheets, or they're searching for a bookkeeping process or spreadsheets. Why not come up for that? And then they're like, what's a CRM? Oh, this is actually might be better for me. So that's an example.
Yeah, totally. I just saw a video recently where somebody put it on LinkedIn actually that was like, be a better alternative. Exactly what you were saying. Like, and like kind of like maybe doing a little more research and understanding. I like that, being a better alternative. So that's good.
Yeah.
All right, that wraps it up for today's Clicks and Conversations. Thank you, Christina. Really brought it with a brand insight there. So yeah, I don't know if we solved the mystery. Is brand and SEO, are they friends or enemies? Are they frenemies? I think I'm gonna go with frenemies. I'm gonna go with
frenemies.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be maybe our subtitle. Brand and SEO, frenemies for life.
Frenemies for life.
Awesome. All right. Thank you for joining, and stay tuned for our next episode.
Bye.